This is Expert in Teamwork. You guys are a mix of interaction design and applied computer science. Okay. Now we should have 36 in the room, in theory in total, but we don't appear to be that many. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17. So we're about half the size we should be, according to what's in the registration on Blackboard. However, given that some of those are the interaction design students who are part-time and so may not be taking the course this semester, it's hard to know how many exactly you are because you get default added to the Blackboard course. Right? We're going to have to sort that out.
Might still be that they follow the time schedule, not the new works, because the time schedule says 9:15.
9:15?
Which is why I left the note.
Okay, right. So it says 9:15 in the time schedule. Okay, so so Expert in Teams is supposed to start at 8 in the morning. It's supposed to run 8 till 4, and that's what I've been told. I am absolutely required to make you work from 8 in the morning till 4. Right? Expert in Teams also strangely has the requirement that if you want to leave the room, you're supposed to ask permission. And that I'm supposed to take written attendance every morning and write down your names and that you've attended each session that you attend. Okay? Oh hey, yeah. Maybe we can put a chair in the door. Hey, come in. So the Expert in Teams is an interesting course. It's a different course. Given that there'll be people turning up at 9:15, I can probably just chat until then. We don't have all of the materials haven't arrived that should have arrived, because eventually you guys will all get one of these books. Right? At the moment, I only have about 8 of them, which means I can share them around the groups, and you can look at them today, and then we'll get you your own personal one by next week, which is your book of reflections. Okay, so half the book, actually no, about a fifth of the book is written material, and the rest is just note paper for you to write down your reflections. Okay, because and we have English versions of them as well. This course, so I'll start with a kind of general discussion of the course and why it exists. So about 15 years ago, the business school decided that one of the things that was missing in master's students was their ability to work well in teams. Right? So they felt that master's students should be able to lead teams and should kind of create team culture. And so they did the business innovation thing of saying, right, let's do team building exercises with students and teach them how to do team building exercises. So you've all heard of team building exercises? You've all done some team building exercises? How many really enjoyed team building exercises? How many of you really hated team building exercises? A couple of people really hated them. Okay, most people were kind of, yeah, I suppose it serves a purpose. So when they first ran this course 15 years ago, and basically slapped together a whole bunch of team building exercises and forced every student at NTNU to take this course, almost universally hated. Right? Pretty much everybody hated this course when it was first created. So they've spent 15 years trying to fix it. And been iterating, and each year their student approval rate has been going up, right? So they have actually been fixing it, and it has been getting to the point where more than half of students say, yeah, it was useful. Come in, if you're in, yeah. So so Bjorn, the guy who's been running it for those 15 years, is quite proud of the fact that it has been improving in student opinion, right? Because he's very worried about what you guys think. Yeah, I know, it's a very sad door. It's going to go, shut, no, I can't, okay. Now, interestingly, and they have programmed an AI feature, which isn't programmed very often into game AIs, which is, don't worry, it'll get frustrated eventually.
It will. Or
Yes.
I could just like let it mostly shut and then put the
No, no, it does eventually get frustrated. Right?
Isn't
So
there a switch?
there is also a switch on the top, but I'm just going to see how long it takes to get frustrated. Because most game AIs, they don't program in frustration, right? Which is why it just keeps going and going and going and going and going and doesn't look like a real person, because real people get frustrated, right? And when you're frustrated, you tend to innovate and you tend to do new things, right? Because you're just frustrated with the current situation. And so we're going to innovate by turning it off. Apparently, they used to have frustration. These ones aren't that clever. You have to work out if those buttons actually do what they say they're going to do. We'll see. So, really? Okay.
Just close the door. If they're not there, like in 2 minutes, they can away.
So it's not smart enough to have frustration. And one of the things that has been identified, it's the reason, part of the reason I'm heading back to New Zealand at the end of this course. One of the courses, the masters I'm going to go and teach in New Zealand, is about taking people with soft skills, i.e. these kind of skills, the skills required to work well in teams, and give them enough technology and technical background to be able to work in teams with computer scientists and technical people, right? Because generally industry has recognized that there's a big gap between like the management and people who have who are trying to organize things and programmers who know how to do things, and this kind of mismatch. You have to, it looks.
I'm not speaking back. I just need proof really quick. I just need proof to repeat that.
I normally don't. Yeah, just grab any chair and grab chairs. I got more chairs, so hopefully now we're starting to be a bit fuller in the room. So this room feels a bit warm. Anyone else a bit warm? No. Okay.
It's always warm here.
Well, we can open.
But not outside.
Yeah, no.
Just open the window, guys. Totally locked.
Yes, the totally locked window that we're totally not allowed to totally open.
Yeah.
But no, we'll keep it closed for the moment. So what I'm going to be teaching is basically people who have these skills, enough technology to do the job, right? Now in this course, we try and take the general population of the university and give you more skills in working with people, but particularly, and very relevant to this idea of reflection, is the idea of thinking about how you behave and how you interact in the group, right? So what is your role in how the group performs? And if somebody marches out, slams the door and gets angry, right, is that entirely their fault and their problem? Or was there something you did that contributed to that situation, right? So can you reflect on your behavior and work out, how did it end up in this dysfunctional situation? What could we have done to prevent it get to there? And how do we find out about the skills of other people and find out what team we have so that we can be maximally effective in our group, right? So that's why it's got so much room for reflection in the book on reflections, because we want you to think about how the groups function, right? So now my applied computer science students have suffered through a project in the first semester where they had to reflect on how the group performance worked, and most of them had some challenges, right? Which gave them plenty of grist, plenty of things to talk about when it came to group functions, right? But we didn't do really any training on how to manage groups and how to reflect during the time and how to fix problems as soon as they arrive, right? So those students have already had those groups and had problems, and so hopefully when they hear potential solutions to problems, they're more receptive. I'm hoping that most of the interaction design students who are here have also had groups that don't function properly. You have to press the lock. Yeah. I don't have control over the doors to make them permanently open for a short length of time. So grab a seat over there. You're fine. So one of the interaction designers, because there are about a bit over half of you are interaction designers. Yep. So designers, interaction designers. Yep. Those are the faces I've seen a few of you around, right? But I haven't spent much time. How many of you have been in who've only been in groups that worked perfectly and everybody did what they were supposed to do? Okay, good. You've all had experiences of group that don't quite function perfectly. All of that previous experience you can use to kind of help you understand and help you interact in this course. Okay, so in terms of actually moving through the material, the plan for the day, I'm going to introduce, and I'll actually just, I'm going to introduce the VR topics, but I'm going to go through the full long introduction. And I'm going to move the VR topics to later because we've got some changes with Trondheim, right? So this village is different to other villages. This village, we are going to have some of you who volunteered to be potentially involved, working with Trondheim collaboratively in the VR environment. Right, so down in the basement we have currently 2, but we should have 3 Vives, and later in the month maybe early next month we'll be getting a Pimax, so hopefully we'll have 4 devices functional down there, but we'll have the VR environments set up downstairs. We have 4 Vive headsets, but only 3 pairs of functional hand controllers at the moment, right? The hand controllers are €150 each, which means buying 2 of them is €300, and a full new set is like €400. And it's kind of, maybe we should just buy another whole set, because then we get another headset as well, right? So, because some activities you can do with just the headset, right? So, this village, with that connection to Trondheim, is a connection to the education department in Trondheim, right? So, Ekaterina Forland, who I work with in Trondheim, is part of the Lifelong Learning Lab, right? So she's part of the education department. She has a village who are being introduced to expert teams just like you guys are in Trondheim. They'll be breaking into groups. She's got she's got 4 students, so she'd like to do 2 groups of students who will develop work across the 2 campuses, right? So they'll meet in the VR lab in the morning, and they'll put the VR sets on and meet virtually in the mornings, and they'll do their handover at the end of the day in VR, right? And they'll try and form a team, and we'll see what a team looks like when part of your team is in Trondheim and in VR, right? Now we also have a VR environment, which we worked on last year, and the students, we've got a couple of master students who have been working on it, and they have a release. We'll also be interested in the projects you work on to be related to that VR and collaboration, right? Now, as I said, this course is about teaching you how to work in groups. So the course is set up to have a project and a process report. So basically, you do a project for the semester. Half of your time is trying to be productive and make the project work. The other half of the time is spent on reflecting on how that's going. All right, so it's a 50-50 split. So today we're going to go through. We're going to talk about reflections and expert in teams, and we're going to talk about the VR topics. I'm going to talk about some of the VR stuff we're doing for EIT of the future later. We're going to have a link with Trondheim. We're going to have learning names exercises. So we're going to do some group activities, which are their standard expert in teams, like team building exercises, basically. And then we're going to have lunch at 12. And from 12:30, we'll be going down and starting putting people through in the AR and the VR lab. We will have the Vive running, and you can play with the AR sandbox that we have down there, and start thinking about what kind of interesting projects you'd like to do. We'll also have presented some of the VR topics. And at the end of the day, we'll have an introduction to writing a reflection and how you do that, and have the checkout at the end of the day. Now, this course will run every Wednesday, so we expect you guys to be here every Wednesday, all Wednesday. Alright, so this is not a 2-hour lecture, this is a day where you sit and work together. On days when you're working, you come in the morning, you sit together, and you work through the whole day. We generally have a get-together meeting where we have a quick check-in to see where all the groups are at with what they've done, and anything they've done in between sessions, and then you work during the day, and then we have a quick check-out at the end of the day. Right, so we're this is a day when no other courses are allowed to be scheduled for Wednesdays, so none of you are allowed to have any other courses today, so this is the only thing that happens so that all of you have time.
How does this work with democracy hours for us who are like class representatives and stuff? On Wednesday?
That's why there's a 11:30 to 12 lunch. You're allowed to have lunch, but that's the only thing you're allowed to go and do. I don't think Trondheim has democracy hours.
They don't have democracy.
No, they don't. No, they don't have democracy hours or democracy.
So I get to pick, do I want to eat or do I want to like do my job?
You can kind of try and do both.
Yeah.
Eat while sitting in meetings. Yeah. Okay, so so that's kind of the plan today. And day 2, we're going to have some. So today is kind of introducing the course and working through and starting thinking about AR and VR and getting you guys talking to each other and doing some group work and trying to work out how many people we have here and like how we form groups. And then day 2, we're going to have Vixel in progress, and we're going to present the virtual reality film projects that I have 2 PhD students and a bachelor film group working in VR film. I also have a VR PhD in Olesund who's working on VR and visualization. So we have a bunch of kind of university related VR projects that we'll present. And VR doctors, we have collaboration with the UK where they're a collection of doctors who are using virtual reality to do various health related things.